Welcome back. So as part of the course that we are bringing up, so that is Databricks Certified Associate Developer Spark. So we are coming into the next video. So where we will be explaining about how do we handle nulls in data frame using NA function. So in the previous video you have seen, so how do you handle nulls using kind of a filter or where conditions. So and in this video we will predominantly see how the NA function, Spark NA function can be used to handle these kind of nulls, right? So if you're new to the channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So before proceeding, we would recommend you to please pause here for 1 minute and read through this instruction, so to get maximum out of this course. So the course content goes, in this video we will explain how to drop or delete rows from the data frame using NA functions, and specifically na.drop, and similarly we will also see na.fill. So these two functions will be used in this course to kind of explain how can we handle null functions, sorry, null records in the data. So now we'll quickly jump to the Databricks setup that we already have, and this is a community edition, free edition for the practice. And if you want to know how to set up this community edition for free with all these kind of demo notebooks and the data, so you can mail to whatever the instructions we have said in the previous slide. So you can get the setup done, and also please refer to the previous videos. So I hope your setup is ready. So once the setup is ready, so we are using a customer data frame again here, and our intention is to kind of drop the null values, right? So NA is one of the function that it is used to operate the null values, and so we drop is a function inside NA, and how we want to drop the values is the question that we need to fill here. So that is, we want to drop all the records. So what that all record means, right? So we will kind of display the same, right? And we'll just put the display here. And see what exactly this returns. Yeah, as you can see, it is removing, there is no null values now. So it has removed all the null values considering all the columns. So as you can see, when you say all, right? So what you mean by all is, so if all the rows, right? If all the rows in this, if all the columns are having null values, so those rows are getting dropped. So you can still see there might be few rows which are having null for date of birth and null for email ID, right? So that means, so it is still it is able to retain these values because so the other columns are not null, right? If all the columns are having null values, from address to email address, whatever columns we have, if all the columns are having null values, so then those records will be dropped here, and only those records are getting dropped here. So how do you verify that? So you can just do a so you can just try to assign this to a new data frame, right? I think you need to give val here because we are using Scala. And you can do a count of this new data frame. So if you take count of the old data frame, so both are matching. That means there are no rows which are kind of having all the columns as null value. So that is why the count is exactly the same after the for the new data frame as well. So this is how the all works. So similarly, we can use the any function also. So let us try how any function will work. So when I try to display this, right, so instead of all, let me give any. When any is used, right, so as you can see, any if any of the column is having null values, right, so if even if one column is having null values and others are still having values, even in that case, the data frame will be the data frame will I mean this particular function will drop the record from the data frame. So now let us see, we have already seen the count of the original data frame, right? So now let us see after this what will be the count, right? So df new 1 we can give equals to, right? Let's execute this with val. So now if I do count, you see there is a less number of records, right? So that means in around 10 lakh records, so only this 93,000 records are fetched now, because all other records are having at least one null in any of the columns. So that's what it means. So and using all and any, you can play around with the multiple. So here you are not giving any column, you are not specifying any column, right? So you can even specify the columns. So how do you do that? So you can just specify the column just by this. So you can give the data frame dot na dot drop and how all, and in the sequence you are giving the columns. That means if both of these columns are having null values, so then drop those values, right? So now if we display, we can verify if any of these columns are having nulls. So we have the advantage of displaying, we can sort and see if there is any null values with the either first name or last name. Now if you can see the first name and the last name, right? So what we are specifying here is all. That means it is considering both should be null, so then only it is dropping. So if anyone is having a value, right? So in this case, if you see first name is null but the last name is having a value, so that's why it is not getting dropped, right? If all, that means all of these columns is null, so then only it is dropping. So similarly, if you make any, right, in this case, let us see. So there is no null. Sorry, it is still executing. Let me try to execute again. Okay, so now as you can see, the first name is also not having any nulls, right? And last name also doesn't have any nulls because I'm sorting it again in both the orders. So that means this is working. That any means either either first name or last name is having null, so then drop that value. So that's why none of the values having null here for first name and last name, right? And finally we will see. So now we have seen drop function, right? So next we will see fill function. The same NA we will use fill function, that is customer df dot NA. So instead of drop we will use fill. That means instead of dropping the values we are filling. That means we are replacing that value with some dummy value, right? So in case like if you have any noise in the data, right, so you can remove that noise or you can replace that noise with this particular value wherever it is having, right? So now if you try to display this, so when I try to display this, as you can closely observe here, maybe we will go to the first name and last name column and see. Yeah, so we have replaced with the data channel, right? Maybe it comes in the, yeah, as you can see, there is lot of values here replaced with the data channel wherever it was null, right? So it has replaced that nulls with the data channel. All the in any of these columns there is a null, it is replaced. So finally we will just see the similar kind of fill function, but you can also uh, fill the null values for each of the columns by specifying the comma separated and giving it as a map. That means wherever this particular column is having nulls, replace it with NA, and wherever this particular first name is having replace with unknowns. So let us see how that exactly displays. So there is some error. The data frame name is, so now as you can see, we have given a salutation wherever the salutation is there. Go to the salutation column and let us see if there is no salutation, it is replacing with NA, right? So, but all the salutation is having value, so that is it's not display. I mean, it is not replaced with anything. But let us see for the first name, right? If there is any unknowns, I mean, if there is any first names, that it should replace with the unknown. Cut and go back. So as you can see, wherever the salutation is not having value, so then it is making it as a NA, right? And if you sort it by values, and as you can see, there is a NAs here. So wherever it is null, so it is replacing with NAs. Similarly, first name, wherever it is null, it is replacing with unknowns. As you can see here, there are a lot of unknowns. That means it has replaced that with the first name, wherever it is null, it is replaced with unknowns. So please note that when you are using multiple columns, you need to enclose that with a map function. Similarly, this is how the data type, the fill data type takes. And quickly, if you go to the documentation of dataframe.na, as you can see, they have given a couple of examples. You can go through these examples and also you can click. So this it has given drop, fill and replace. So from the exam point of view, all these three are important. So especially the replace is also important. So when you say drop, it just dropping all the null values. If you say fill, it is filling the values with the options, right? So you have options of all, any. Similarly for drop, you have options of all, any when you give how, and also you can use sequence as a map function to handle the multiple columns. Similarly, if you see replace, right, so it also does a similar thing. So it just replaces the value with a different value. Suppose wherever it is na dot replace, right, instead of alias you can replace it is with a null, none or something, right? So here, if you see alias to null, so you are reversing it. Wherever it is alias, so you are replacing to null value. So that is getting null. So none is a representation of null. So this replace is also important where it is actually reversing. I mean, you can do reverse also. So hope this was useful. Thanks for watching.